Well, I bet you've never seen a Murphy bed like this before. This is our queen size Murphy bed that we made that folds up, but then it also folds to fit the curve of the bus roof. Our bus in the center is about 6.5 feet tall. I'm not sure what standard buses are, but it is taller than some that I've walked through. I am 6'3". So this video, I'm going to explain the process of me trying to figure out how I'm going to build this Murphy bed. I had no clue how I was going to build this Murphy bed when I went into this project, but my wife said, I need a Murphy bed here that's queen size that folds down this way, and I also need a bench under it. And, well, there was barely enough room for it, so we made it work. All right, I'm going to show you how to build a Murphy bed for your bus. Now, this is going to change with every single bus and every single bus, but we're going to have to build a Murphy bed here, and I'm going to try to make a video on how to build the Murphy bed. It's going to be tricky because I'm also just figuring it out along the way. Most people think, oh, can you send me a template so that I can build this in my bus? No, not really. You'll have to just figure it out in your bus, make the measurements, and kind of come up with it along the way. But I will share you the measurements, and maybe you'll end up being able to do the same thing yourself in your bus, and maybe just modify it a little bit. So the first thing I have to do is figure out which way this Murphy bed is going to be. Now, the only way that this fits, and so we can fold it up, and this will be the case probably in every bus unless you've lifted the roof, is we have to lay our bed down sideways. So it would be better if we didn't have that wheel well there. So that's going to be a tricky to kind of overcome that, but we have to lay our bed sideways and lay it down this way, and then we lay across it this way. So it would be too long, it wouldn't go up all the way if we did it this way, even without the wheel well. So we're going to have to do it this way. If the wheel well wasn't there, we could just drop it right down and it would probably fold up real nice and snug, but that's not the case for us. So we're going to have to come up some and then out some to get us some distance up here. And then also the foam mattress we're going to have is going to kind of crunch as we fold it up. It's my plan at the moment. I'll share with you kind of how I'm planning that. But so now that we know which way our bed is laying, we got to figure out how high up we're coming. And so the way that I do that is I'm just kind of taking my tape measure and figuring out our bed measurement is about 80 inches long from here down to there, and the width is just shy of 5 feet. So it's going to be 5 feet from this side all the way over there. So when we fold it up, we're going to have 5 feet that we got to go. And as you can see, if I just hook on here and go down, that's going to be about 5 feet there. If I pull the tape measure out, you'll see about 5 feet there. It's hard to do with one hand, but so we got 5 feet from there right down to the top of this, but I don't want to go to the top of this because I don't want this freezing cold thing right underneath our bed without any sort of insulation around it. So we're going to come up, and so I'm going to come up a foot. That's what I did here. I came up a foot, and so the bottom of our bed is going to lay right here. Now, because I came up a foot, my bed now has to extend up a foot that way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bed out this way. So when it folds up, the bottom of it will be about here, which gives us, it's going to be about 5 or so inches deep. It's a 5-inch deep piece of foam. And then that's going to go up to the top there. And so we should have a decent amount of clearance being there. But I'm gonna quadruple check everything before I go for it. And then our next step will just be to screw a board on there to kind of get us started. And then I'm gonna have to build a bench. So this is gonna be a bench here, a seat. So when it's folded up, this will be a couch. And so I'm probably gonna have to start with that first. The whole point of a Murphy bed isn't just to clear out our floor space, but we'll definitely want to have an extra couch. There'll probably be a little seat or couch thing on this side that might turn into a table or something. But so that was kind of our first step. Get that line situated, figure out where we're going to be, get our measurements right, and then kind of just start plugging away and figuring it out as we go. All right, so we got our first board screwed on here, and we screwed this right where the mattress is going to lay. So this is going to be the level that the mattress comes out at, and we got it screwed up there. That's the plan, at least at this point. It's just temporarily screwed up in case we make some adjustments or changes, but that's where it is now. There's a chance we may have to fudge it down a little bit so we have enough room as we go up, but we're going to figure that out as we go. From here, we got to kind of work on the bench. All right, our next step, I'm putting this bottom board on, and I was trying to go for something that would pretty much clear that wheel well, so I don't know. So I would clear it for some reason. I probably didn't have to do that, but I'm coming out as far as I can. And of course, as you go, you got to think about the final product. For instance, finishing here, my plywood is going to go on the outside of this, my finished looking plywood. And then of course the finished looking plywood will be the seat also, and we'll do something on the end or something like that. But as we go, the plywood that comes up we don't want to see the end of the plywood like we can see here. Eventually this will be covered, but also we don't want to see the end of the plywood on the end here by just sticking it out here. So we're going to stick it in a little bit. That way the plywood's a little bit thicker than this. It'll stick out a little bit, but there will be a cap, a piece of hardwood that'll kind of just trim nail onto that will cover the end of the plywood, and we won't see the end of the plywood there, and it will look nice and good. So we got to think about those little details along the way as you go. Of course, once you do it, you could always rip it out later and do a better job on the detail part of it. But in a nutshell, here's the other side. We're just going to screw to here, make sure it's the same distance out, and then kind of work on the piece of plywood for the front, and then the top piece that's going to go underneath here that we're going to screw from there over to there, that will hold the top part of the plywood. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do for like seat cushions and stuff, how that's all going to work out. And for the top's not just going to be wood, there's going to be cushions or something on it. All right, so we got this guy screwed on. It's good and on, but you can see we obviously don't want this wiggle in this board because it is going to have plywood screwed to it. So we're going to put a piece in here, and we're framing this out. This is going to be storage under here. Obviously you want to try to make use of every square centimeter or inch that you can in a bus conversion. So this is going to be storage under here. This will lift up or something like that. And so we got this screwed on, and you can use normal 1x. You don't got to use this expensive 1x, but it's what I had. So then we screwed this 1x to there, and now we're just going to take some trim screws and screw through there. So that will stabilize that, and we'll probably do another 1x over there just to make it a little more uniform. And then we're going to frame up. We're going to step up with this and frame just above here, because then we want this to be storage also before the seat. So this will be narrow storage, but still nonetheless it will be storage. All right, so we got this boxed in for storage down there. We got this platform built up and above here so I can insulate this wheel well. We're not fighting the cold there. And so you can see kind of what we did here is we just kind of built it up. I laid that one on there and then measured up how far that was, screwed it to our wall over here through the plywood, and laid this one up here, and it ends up a little bit higher, so I had to use a 2x4 here, gap this up, and then just screw that to that. And this doesn't need to be real structural or anything. The plywood will go on it, and then the plywood up here will hold this real good and hard. So then the plywood, of course, on the front will hold this to this good. So plywood really holds together random pieces of wood pretty good, but that's where we're at now. And so we're going to put this piece right up on top of here. It should fit. So it'll fit similar to that right there. This will just be our deck in there for storage, and it will of course be painted and a little more presentable looking, but that's that will be the platform for the storage. And you can see I left a little bit of overhang because I want the plywood to come up under here. That's going to go on that face there to cover that, and we may even notch out a little bit, get fancy to cover that gap. Maybe we won't if we plywood the inside of that. I don't know. Let's see. All right, so we got our bench built. Just plywood's just kind of sitting here for now, but you can see we'll have some storage under there, and the face of it kind of gives it some stability there and some beautification. The Murphy bed, I think I'm actually just gonna have to hinge it at the top here, which will make the I may have to move this down, and when it lifts up it's going to hinge like this and go up, which means I'm gonna have to make a Murphy bed that also folds somewhere in the middle there, and when it lays down it folds out and lays down like that. We'll have to put some sort of legs that'll stick out on it to hold that up on some piano hinge of some sort, but I think that's what I'm gonna have to do because I just don't have a lot of room. My other option is, I don't even know if I got that option anymore, but somehow building it out so I have up more distance up to go when I fold it, but I don't even think I got 5 feet there anymore unless I just left it angled, something like that. But that would just make it really complicated down here, and I kind of just like the idea of it just hinging right on top and flipping up and down. And so that's going to be the plan. This will of course have some hinges, or maybe a whole piano hinge to keep kids' crumbs from going back there, or maybe just some hinges, I don't know. But that's where we are with it. And now onto the Murphy bed. The board is going to be mounted up a little bit right there, and so we'll hinge the top of it, and I'll show you what it's going to do to fold. We're going to have the Murphy bed, this part from down here, right here to the top where the hinge is going to be, up to right there where my paneling stops. I'm going to have to stop the vertical there, and then that'll be about 3 feet 2 inches, but I need to go 5 feet for the width of the bed. So we're going to have to split the bed in half like this, and then this is going to go out about 2 feet, so it'll probably go out to about there. So it'll do this, and there will be a hinge holding some sort of piano hinge that runs all the way down this plywood and into these rails, so that it can hold, and then the mattress will just fit right in here, and it'll bend because it's a foam mattress. So that's the plan. And so when it goes down, it's going to go like this, and then when it touches like this, the hope is that there will be some sort of leg underneath here that holds this up. It'll fold out of some sort, but yeah, it should be able to hold up pretty well like that. But we'll figure it out as we go. That's the plan so far. At this point, I'm going to build the bed, and then I'll cut it where I need to cut it and install the hinges as I cut the bed in half where I need it. All right, so here is the bed that we made for the Murphy bed, and we made it to fit this mattress. I'll put it down as much as I can. You can see here we made it, and it fits it nice and snug, and we made it, oh yeah, so it's going to fold up. Of course that's where the hinge is going to be. and it'll fold up. And you can see we put a seam on it right here on the plywood. And that's where the other fold is going to be. So we'll have to cut this right where the splice in the plywood is. We'll have to cut this board here, and when it folds down, we'll make sure that it has some legs and it's supported good and it isn't pulling too much on the hinge. But we're going to screw a hinge, piano hinge, along here and put an extra support, because you can see the middle of the plywood is weak without some extra support. So we got some 2x2s, and we're going to run a 2x2 on this side of it and this side of it, and screw the piano hinge to it, and that will be where it hinges. And so that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so we got the boards put on, and now we're screwing the piano hinge, so there's a little extra stability where the hinge is. We'll probably put little bitty hinges on the ends, just so there's some sort of hinge on the end. So we got the piano hinge on. Now we just need to cut this right here and make it nice and square. And that will give us our folding ability, and we'll be able to fold this up and work on trying to hang it in the bus. All right, you can see we got the board cut. Little hinge. It's gonna be hard for me to do one-handed, but it will hinge down. So it will hinge down like this.
Cool.
Just like that. And there will be some sort of feet that help space it apart. Some sort, but that's will actually only ever fold this much. It'll only ever really fold probably that much to follow the curve of the bus roof. So there it is. Okay, good job, man. All right, so right now we are just screwing it up there. I kind of got it propped up with blocks. I've already screwed the piano hinge on this side of the frame of it, and now I'm just propped it up kind of where I want it. And I believe that's where I want it. Yeah, because up here, that's where I wanted the rails to end, right there, and the same over there. And I think the plywood just slopes up a little there from where we cut it. But we're just going through and screwing our hinge on. There you go. Here, you're sitting on the screws I want. You can record me. I've used some of these bigger screws just to get a little more bite when it screws into this, but there's so many screws on a piano hinge, you can that's why it's okay to use small screws. Lots of small things have more strength than you would realize. Push that button right there, it makes it wider. There you go. All right, it's up. And so we're going to do the first swing action and see what it does. So it's going to go down, and it'll have some assisted mechanisms to make this smoother and easier. Ooh, that sounded rough. All right. Well, that's that. If I just adjust that a little bit, then it goes like this. And it'll kind of latch up there like that. So we have the Murphy bed up. As you can see, we got some legs that just fold down. They're just Velcroed up there for now. This is kind of the temporary setup until we really get fancy with the lifting mechanisms. But you can see we got the folded part of the bed here, and it kind of just tucks up and away there. And right now we got just temporarily, we just have some pins just shove in there, which currently are just rusty bolts, but it will change later. So it probably will be a pin or something. That part we'll have to figure out when we do the lifting mechanism. But we just pull the pins out. Well, put the legs down. And kind of slide it out from under there. Yeah. Kind of do that. And make sure the mattress didn't get pinched in it. All right, and so that is the Murphy bed. Just folds right up there with the mattress in it. Even though the mattress is a little thicker than the wood, makes it a little more of a snug fit. But there it is. We'll make another video in the future of the lifting mechanism, so we can show you how it lifts up and once it gets a little more fancy. But this is kind of roughly how to plan it out and make a Murphy bed that folds up and kind of fits the curve of the bus roof. Hope you enjoy.